I did have squamous cell and basal cell carcinoma cut off my face. That was in 2020.
Well, hi there, everybody, and welcome to Bold Carnivore. Today we have a special guest. His name is Chris Long. Chris Long, would you mind introducing yourself and telling our audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, yeah, I am. I'm a grateful follower of Jesus, a father of four children, a Navy veteran, and a cancer survivor. And I restarted carnivore seriously back this last July, and I've lost about 20 pounds so far.
Nice. Could you detail for us a few of your general health issues that you were facing before you went into carnivore?
Yeah, so before carnivore, I had tons of inflammation and pain, and actually, I had more pains and aches than I even realized I had. And I think a lot of carnivores describe a similar experience where you don't realize how good you feel until you feel good, and then it's like amazing. It's like almost a utopia in your body. But I had lots of pain and feet in my feet and ankles. I had plantar fasciitis, pretty severe from past running and things like that. Um, I had a lot of pain in my left shoulder from an injury lifting years ago. I guess 2016. I was lifting 400 pounds, and I made the lift, but on the way back down, injured that left shoulder, and I've had just problems in and out with that. I had to be really careful what I did, the functionality of that. Also had tennis elbow and that left elbow as well. Both of those are gone now, just completely gone. All the inflammation seems to be gone. I had pretty severe IBS. Just bowel movements were just erratic, and that's gone now. Chronic athlete's foot, it's gone. Gas, abdominal discomfort. I have skin tags, but they're shrinking. So I'm hoping that they will eventually just disappear. I've heard a lot of stories that they do. Um, Chronic fatigue. I used to fall asleep driving a lot. Uh, that's gone. Thankfully, no car accidents or anything like that. But chronic heartburn, GERD. Used to get woken up at night with chronic heartburn and GERD, chronic acne. Um, that's all gone. I did have squamous cell and basal cell carcinoma cut off my face. That was in 2020. Has not come back, and everything looks good. And obviously, I'm doing carnivore as well to not feed that cancer. I don't want it coming back. There was a danger of it had gone so deep because I didn't know what it was, um, and waited so long to get it checked out that they almost had get down to the nerve. They actually were to the nerve. If I showed you the pictures, you could see that actually you could see the visible nerves in my face where they had cut down um, to get all of that out. But they do believe they got it all, and I think so. So
And if not, you're starving it out.
right, exactly. That's my plan.
That's right. Okay, so is that cancer related to your diet, or was that cancer related to just uh, cell damage, or
Well,
what?
well, doctors now have, I don't know. They thought the doctor told me that it's a lot of times it's very common on the left side of the face for Americans because we drive with the window down and things with the sun beaming in. Knowing what I know from my carnivore research, I'm not so sure that that's the case because I think the sun is good for us. I think it's better than that, and I do think it probably was not related. Um, I don't really know for sure. I think there's conflicts and differences of opinions with doctors. So who knows at this point?
Do you think it may be more related to cell phone use?
Um, you know, I hadn't thought about that. I'm not sure. I don't typically talk with my handset in my left hand because I am right-handed. But I mean, who knows? I'm not exactly sure how or why that came about on that side. I'm not certain. Um, but I am pretty convinced that the dietary aspect is a huge aspect with all types of cancers, just based on the research that I've done. So I'm leaning more that way.
That would be my thought also.
Um,
All right. Well, speaking of diet, what did your typical diet look like before going back to carnivore?
uh, Typical standard American diet. I would say that growing up, I think like most sane people, I did love meat, but um, but I also like most, I was taught to eat your vegetables. They're good for you and all of that. And of course, now I obviously have a different opinion on that. Um, but yeah, I would say I did. I never was really super fond of vegetables. I had to doctor them up uh, a ton before they were palatable for me. And you know, I guess growing up here in the southern United States, we typically have a more we tend to season our food with fats and things like that. So I never really strayed much from that. But I think mixing that with the carbohydrates obviously was a problem. But as I was always taught as a kid, same thing. I think every American was taught was, fat's bad for you. Um, it's not the carbohydrates that's the problem. It's all the fats, it's all the meats, red meat, and all of these things. But I would say I ate a good mixture of them because I still love the meat anyway. And I was always of the mind, well, if I develop a health problem, I'll address that then. Um, and in effect, I guess that's really what I did do, inadvertently. So.
Hmm. Okay. Very interesting. And so you are working as what right now?
Oh, work for work?
Yeah. What do you do for work?
Interestingly enough, I manage a donut factory on a night shift.
That's
So
ironic.
yes, it is, and I that's currently what I do. I've been in food manufacturing, I guess, the better part of 20 years, and various types of food. I've been in poultry, I've been in snack cakes, and now I do donuts. I've done bread, and I do donuts. So I manufacture carbohydrates. It's kind of crazy.
Mhm.
But in the workplace, it's funny. I think I've become known lately as the carnivore evangelist because more and more people are being convinced to at least give carnivore a try because they see the results I'm getting and they hear about it quite often because um, it just you can't help but bring it up when you're passionate about something.
Thing. Well, let's explore that a bit. Your passions. What are they?
Well, I am definitely passionate about my faith. So I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. I have been in some form or another following him. It's been a long journey, a bumpy road. I would describe it as a roller coaster ride since I was about 10 years old. I grew up in church, but I think I've learned more lately and been more serious about my faith. Probably, I'd say over the last 3 years, especially, um, and so I'm very passionate about that. I love to hike. I love the outdoors, um, and I enjoy family and things like that. So I guess typical stuff. I enjoy fitness. I enjoy being in shape, and I feel like carnivore gives me that ability to do so more readily. Um, I feel so much better, and my strength gains with working out are incredible. I mean, it's honestly like it's like a car that's naturally aspirated versus a car that's got a supercharger. It's just really, really vastly different. Energy levels are through the roof. It's amazing. I can get through a workout with no problem. I'm able to push myself harder than I ever have been before. So that's been really awesome.
Is your recovery faster too?
Recovery definitely faster. Without a doubt, recovery is amazing. I actually don't get near as sore um, doing carnivore. Um, and I've actually coupled that with actually been for the past 2 months using Dr. Jaquish, who is also a carnivore. Dr. Jaquish's device, the X3. And man, I'm telling you, I never knew a quote unquote rubber band workout could be so tough, but it's absolutely the best workouts I've ever had.
Wow. So like,
And
is that
that's
kind of
not
like
a
a
paid
resistance
promotion,
band?
by the way.
No, no, no paid promotion. I've never even heard of it before. So that's new.
Oh wow, yeah,
Yeah. So is that like a resistance band training kind of thing?
it's a resistance band, but it incorporates a bar and a ground plate, so the stabilization is different, and it really stimulates the growth hormone because of your steadying. So it's more like free weights, but it's variable resistance. There's been a lot of studies on that, and it's very controversial. So I guess maybe that's why I love it. Carnivores tend to embrace controversy rather than run away from it. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, indeed. Kind of like that shirt that you got on there, that compassionate carnivore shirt. I think a vegan might go a little bit crazy.
absolutely, absolutely. Shout out to Kerry from Homestead Hal, man. We
Well,
talked before the interview. I mean, we both love him.
yes, sir. So, Gary, your shirts are moving far and wide.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that documentary get put together, man.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. All right. So, speaking of faith, now I know that that's the basis of something that you're moving forward in. What is that?
Yeah. So I've actually got a book in the works. I'm about a third of the way in with the manuscript, and I've got a publisher who's very interested in that. And I won't tell you the title and give that away yet, but it is tying the carnivore in with a biblical perspective. That's something that I had heard a sermon years ago by a preacher that I had grown up with, who was actually a pastor of mine when I was just a baby. Actually, he was the one that dedicated me as a baby, and he was mentioning, he was talking about three different diets that were given to mankind. One at the very first in the garden, and then one after man sinned, and then one after the flood. And he made a very interesting statement in that, and he said this last one where a man was told to eat meat, he said, I believe it's a fortification against demons. And I'm like, man, what a strange statement. And that stuck with me all my life. And I don't even remember if he even gave any reasoning during that sermon or not. Um, but as I learned about the benefits of carnivore, and I learned about the benefits to the mind from carnivore. And then, of course, I saw my own brain fog begin to lift. And I heard so many other carnivores talk about that. And so many um, mental health conditions being either drastically improved or even people would consider themselves cured from things like schizophrenia and bipolar disorder and other things. I began to think, man, the Bible talks about how our battle with the enemy is in our mind and how they attack our thoughts. They suggest thoughts. And I thought, man, if I have a healthier mind, then by all means, I should be better spiritually as well. So there's a spiritual advantage as well as the physical advantage, as well as the mental health advantage. So I began to actually look into the biblical perspective on that. And I've actually found a thread all the way through, just as many of the carnivore doctors will tell you, our ancestrally appropriate diet includes meat and is probably meat centric. I would say, contrary to what some other religious groups would say, that thread can be found all throughout Scripture, all the way from the Old Testament to the New Testament. So through biblical history as well, that thread, that ancestrally appropriate diet is there. I think people have just been looking at it through a skewed lens. And so that's the intent of the book, is to actually showcase that and actually also bring carnivore to the forefront, even in the church community, because I think church community, we are often very dogmatic about a lot of things, the things that we believe. And I think sometimes we have to take a step back and look and see things from another perspective and challenge it, not necessarily to dismantle our faith, because for me, it's strengthened because I see the same thing I'm seeing in the physical realm, I see in the spiritual realm, and I see in the book that I refer to as, all authority for my faith and practice. So it's encouraging for me to do that. And that's what inspired me to write the book. And honestly, one of the main reasons that I thought this preacher may have suggested that, is when I look at 1 Timothy 4:1-5, it actually, and I apologize, I'm looking at my notes now. It actually says, "Now the Spirit speaketh expressly, and in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits, which we said work in their mind, and doctrines of devils, speaking lies and hypocrisy, having no conscience seared with a hot iron, forbidding to marry, and commanding to abstain from meats, which God hath created to be received with thanksgiving of them which believe and know the truth." And this verse to me tells a couple of things. For some reason, in the last days, um, people would command to abstain from meat. Well, if we look around and we see what's going on in this day and time, my goodness, the vegans and so many other groups, even government agencies, are just discouraging, to the point of really bashing the use of the meat as a food, to the point of creating lab grown meats and creating all these synthetic forms that, obviously when you look at the processes and you look at the things that are in them, they're not as healthy as the meat that you and I eat. And why is that? What's the purpose? I think that the Bible gives us that reasoning for it. And I think it's evidenced out, in front of us, in front of our eyes. And we see how people tend to, I don't know, lose their mind over. I mean, I'm sure you've probably seen some of Dr. Baker's videos of vegans that have threatened him and things. And I'm not demonizing vegans. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying I think that there is um, a mental health aspect there of nutrition that needs to be looked at. And I think it ties in, and the Bible, just like everything else in life, I believe, tells us uh, the path if we're actually willing to look forward and embrace it.
Speaking of Sean Baker's videos there, Dr. Sean, some of my favorite videos is when he sits down with a gigantic steak and slices that thing up while he's got it juxtaposed to somebody freaking out about veganism.
Absolutely.
He's just in there chewing. Yum, 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 yum.
His video with that knife reminds me of the old movie Crocodile Dundee. That's not a knife, that's a knife.
Yeah. That's artful, in my opinion.
Yes, absolutely. 100%.
Wow. That is amazing. So you mentioned you've got 4 kids. Now, are any of them following along in your footsteps?
No, but they're very well aware. They're adult children, so they're doing their lives their own way. But they do hear from me quite a bit. I am quite the meat evangelist for sure. Even with them, especially when health problems crop up and we have to talk about health issues. I'm definitely quick to say, "Look, I know Dad sounds like a broken record. However, you really should try carnivore." But I also leave them alone, let them do their own thing. I think I've got my oldest son, I think, is probably the closest to having given an honest try of carnivore. And he does say that, "Dad, the more meat I eat, the better I feel." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know. And it really is amazing and astounding." But, again, like we talked, it really makes sense. I mean, what do we think that the way our our body composition is made up of, even the anatomy and the way we've been created. You know, we're just not made to digest all of these plant items properly.
Good. Yeah, I can attest to that. Anytime I put a piece of vegetable or anything in my mouth, it just goes straight through, and it comes out the other side exactly how it went in. Well, I
Yeah,
don't believe
yeah,
I'm getting anything out of it.
right, right. Well, except pain, except
Yeah,
pain.
well, there is that.
Pain and
Definitely that.
gas.
Even yeah, pain, gas, and the runs. I mean, right? I don't have time for that. Who has time for that, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Wow. Okay, so as a carnivore, what is your favorite dish to have?
Um, well, I would be remiss if I did not mention the wonderful ribeye. However, I have discovered I think it's even superior to the ribeye in my case, in my opinion, the chuck eye, which a lot of people haven't even heard of. I actually told a friend of mine at work about it the other night, and he said, "I've never even heard of the chuck eye." It's a steak that they cut off typically if they have chuck roasts on sale. Um,
Mhm.
that they're hard to find a lot of times, but to me they're even more fall apart tender than a ribeye, and they have plenty of fat on them. They're wonderful, delicious. I think Kelly Hogan actually is the first person I ever heard mention a chuck eye steak.
Oh yeah, nice. Well, apart from uh, Kelly Hogan, who else? Oh, well, also Carrie, but who else has been influential in your carnivore journey?
Oh man, all of the carnivore doctors. I mean, Dr. Chafee, Dr. Kiltz, Dr. Barry. I would be remiss. I mean, he's right here in the same state of Tennessee. Actually, he's on the other side of Nashville from me right now, um, and I would love to meet him one day, of course. But yeah, all of the carnivore docs. I mean, they're just fabulous people, and I think it's just amazing to me that carnivores seem to have this passion for helping people, and you know that's actually the reason for my book. That's the reason I'm sure Dr. Becker wrote his book. That's the reason you're doing what you do, and we all are doing that, is just because we see such a health benefit for people, and it's just it's a shame not to share that. You know, it's just incredible. It's incredible. So there've been a whole lot of influences, and tons of other carnivores. I mean, there's probably a whole list of names that I could go through because I follow so many YouTube channels, and I listen to that. So I usually pro tip, by the way, for those of you who listen to YouTube a lot, as I do, um, speed that sucker up to about 1.5, and you'll pour in so much more information, and you'll still be able to you'll train yourself to listen a little faster, and man, you can get through it so much quicker, and get so much info. I mean, honestly, I feel like I've gotten a master's degree over the last 3 years in carnivore nutrition just from doing that very thing.
Mhm. Well, that's a good pro tip there.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right. So, if people wanted to find you or get a hold of you, how would they do that?
Well, I have got, I've just recently started an Instagram, which is how you and I found each other. Um, and I am looking for my resources right now. Um, at the Carnivore Chris at Instagram uh, is my primary social media link right now. I also have, if people want to fund the book, help the book, I also have the carnivorechris.com, which is actually forwarded to my GoFundMe. Any help you can do would be great. That will cover not just the cost of publishing, but also promoting the book. A couple of TV commercials actually are in the works with the publisher, and those things will be funded. So just try to get the word out that way. A friend of mine at church and I are actually getting ready to start a YouTube channel. Probably in the next month or so, we'll go live with that, and it's called the Meat of the Word. And we do have a channel already set up, but there's nothing on it yet on YouTube. The Meat of the Word is going to be uh, our handle there.
Nice. It was that or the meat evangelist, one or the other.
Yeah, for real, for real.
Wow. All right. I like that. So, have you got any parting words of wisdom for our listeners and our watchers?
Well, I would say parting words would be number one, look to Jesus. He will help everything in your life. And right behind that, I would say for the physical side of things, go carnivore. If you're teetering on the fence, you're wondering if all of us are crazy. Well, we may be, but that's a separate issue. But definitely, you should give carnivore an honest try. Um, I tell people, give it 60 days, give it 90 days, and see how you feel. You can do anything for that period of time. And when you do that, um, the odds are so high that you're going to feel better than you've ever felt in your life. And you're going to be able to do more. And for Christians that are teetering on the fence, you're going to be able to do more for Jesus and for your family and for the world if you adopt this carnivore lifestyle, because you're just going to feel so amazing, so invigorated, and so awesome, and your health is going to be so good, and you can maybe fire your doctor. Just saying.
Nice. Wow. Well, thank you very much. And Chris, I'd like to thank you for joining us today. This has been Chris Long, the Carnivore Chris. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Be bold, everybody.